Picture this: a country where a single meal can cost more than your weekly grocery budget back home. Yet somehow, people are living here on just $600 a month. Welcome to Qatar, one of the wealthiest nations on earth, where Lamborghinis cruise past traditional souks and where the call to prayer echoes between gleaming skyscrapers that seem to pierce the desert sky. But here's the million-dollar question. Or should I say, the $600 question. Can you actually survive in this land of luxury without breaking the bank? I'm about to take you on a journey through a country that defies every expectation. This is Qatar, a tiny peninsula jutting into the Persian Gulf that's about the size of Connecticut, yet somehow manages to influence global politics, host the World Cup, and maintain some of the most fascinating cultural contradictions you'll ever encounter. On one side, you have gold-plated ATMs and indoor ski slopes and shopping malls. On the other, you have Bedouin traditions that have remained unchanged for centuries, and a society where respect and hospitality aren't just customs, they're a way of life. But before you start thinking this is just another story about oil money and excess, let me tell you what really caught my attention. While researching Qatar, I discovered something that completely shattered my preconceptions. Despite being surrounded by unimaginable wealth, there's an entire ecosystem of people: students, young professionals, budget travelers, and yes, even some locals, who've figured out how to navigate this expensive paradise on budgets that would make a college student jealous. They're eating incredible food, experiencing rich culture, and living in one of the safest countries in the world, all while spending less than what many people pay for their monthly phone bill. This isn't just about money, though. Qatar represents something much more intriguing. It's a living laboratory where East meets West, where ancient traditions collide with futuristic ambitions, and where conservative values coexist with some of the most progressive infrastructure projects on the planet. It's a place where you can witness a traditional falcon hunt in the morning and attend a world-class art exhibition in the evening, where women in abayas walk alongside expats in business suits, and where the desert literally meets the sea in ways that will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about the Middle East. So, buckle up, because we're about to dive deep into the real Qatar, not the glossy tourism brochure version, but the authentic, complex, sometimes surprising reality of what it's actually like to live, work, and explore in this desert nation. We'll uncover the secrets of surviving on a shoestring budget, navigate the cultural nuances that can make or break your experience, and discover whether Qatar is just the expensive stopover or a genuine destination worth your time and limited dollars. Imagine a country so small you could drive across it in less than 3 hours, yet so strategically positioned that it has managed to become one of the most influential nations in the Middle East. Qatar sits like a thumb extending into the Persian Gulf, bordered by Saudi Arabia to the south and surrounded by water on 3 sides. With just 4,416 square miles of territory, it's smaller than most U.S. states, yet this tiny nation punches way above its weight class on the global stage. The geography here tells a story of extremes. Most of Qatar is flat, arid desert punctuated by low hills and scattered oases, but it's the coastline that really captures your imagination. The eastern shore faces the Persian Gulf with pristine beaches and warm, clear waters that stay swimmable year-round. The landscape might seem monotonous at first glance, but spend some time here and you'll start noticing the subtle beauty, the way the light changes throughout the day, painting the desert in shades of gold and amber, and how the traditional dhow boats create silhouettes against stunning sunsets that photographers travel thousands of miles to capture. The climate is exactly what you'd expect from a desert nation, but with a twist. Summers are brutal, and I mean absolutely brutal. From May through September, temperatures regularly soar above 104 degrees Fahrenheit, with humidity levels that can make it feel like you're breathing through a wet towel. But here's where it gets interesting for budget travelers. This extreme heat creates the perfect opportunity for incredible deals. Hotels slash their prices, restaurants offer air-conditioned refuge, and the local population adapts with a rhythm that smart visitors can learn to follow. The numbers behind Qatar are mind-blowing. This country has the highest GDP per capita in the world, with an average income that makes Silicon Valley look modest. Yet the population is only about 2.8 million people. And here's the kicker, only about 300,000 of them are actually Qatari citizens. The rest are expats, workers, and long-term residents from over 150 different countries, creating a cultural melting pot that influences everything from the food scene to the languages you'll hear walking down the street. Arabic is the official language, but English is widely spoken, especially in business districts and tourist areas. Islam is the state religion, practiced by the majority of the population, and this influences the rhythm of daily life in ways that visitors need to understand and respect. The weekend here runs Friday and Saturday, aligning with Islamic traditions, and you'll hear the call to prayer 5 times a day echoing across the cityscape, a sound that becomes oddly comforting once you get used to it. What makes Qatar truly fascinating from a geographical perspective is how it has transformed itself. 50 years ago, this was primarily a collection of fishing villages and pearl diving communities. Today, it's home to some of the most ambitious architectural projects on Earth, artificial islands that house luxury developments, and infrastructure that rivals anything you'll find in Dubai or Singapore. The transformation has been so rapid and dramatic that some older residents joke they went to sleep in a fishing village and woke up in a sci-fi movie. Walking through Doha feels like stepping into 2 different time periods simultaneously. The West Bay district sparkles with futuristic skyscrapers that seem to defy physics, their glass facades reflecting the desert sun in ways that create an almost otherworldly atmosphere. The skyline changes so rapidly that even locals sometimes get lost, with new towers appearing seemingly overnight and reshaping the horizon in ways that keep photographers and urban planners equally fascinated. But venture into the older parts of the city and you'll discover a completely different rhythm. The Souk Waqif area pulses with traditional energy, where the narrow alleyways smell of frankincense and spices, where traditional coffee shops serve karia in tiny cups, and where you can still hear haggling in a dozen different languages. This is where you'll find the Qatar that existed long before oil money transformed the landscape, where Bedouin traditions still influence daily interactions, and where hospitality isn't just a business practice, it's a cultural imperative. The daily rhythm in Doha follows patterns that take some getting used to. The city truly comes alive in the early morning hours, when temperatures are manageable and both locals and expats take advantage of the cooler air. By midday, especially during summer months, the streets empty as people retreat to air-conditioned spaces. But as evening approaches, particularly after sunset, the city transforms again. Families emerge from their homes, the Corniche fills with joggers and walkers, and the outdoor cafes and restaurants become social hubs that buzz with conversation and laughter. What struck me most about daily life here is how different communities have adapted to create their own microenvironments within the larger Qatari framework. Indian and Pakistani families gather in specific neighborhoods where you'll find authentic South Asian restaurants and grocery stores. Filipino communities have established their own cultural centers and gathering spots. Western expats gravitate toward compounds and districts that offer amenities and social opportunities that feel familiar. Yet, somehow, all these different communities intersect in the workplace, at cultural events, and in the shared spaces that make up modern Qatar. The work culture operates on its own unique schedule. During the scorching summer months, many businesses shift to earlier hours, with people starting work at dawn to avoid the midday heat. Construction workers, who make up a significant portion of the workforce, often work split shifts, taking long breaks during the hottest parts of the day. This creates an interesting rhythm where the city has multiple rush hours and peak activity periods that don't align with what you might expect coming from Western cities. Shopping malls aren't just retail spaces here, they're essential community hubs and climate refugees. Places like city center Doha and Villaggio become gathering spots where families spend entire days, not just shopping, but socializing, eating, and escaping the heat. These malls stay packed from mid-morning until late evening, serving as unofficial town squares where different communities intersect and where you can observe the fascinating cultural dynamics that make Qatar so unique. The contrast between old and new creates daily moments that feel almost surreal. You might see a traditional camel herder using a smartphone to coordinate with his buyers, or watch Bedouin families in traditional dress taking selfies against the backdrop of ultra-modern architecture. These aren't tourist performances. They're authentic representations of how Qatar has managed to embrace modernization while maintaining connections to its cultural roots. Food in Qatar is like a delicious mystery that unfolds layer by layer, revealing flavors and influences that reflect the country's position as a cultural crossroads. The moment you step off the plane, you're hit with the aroma of cardamom, cinnamon, and grilled meat that seems to permeate every street corner and alleyway. This isn't just about fine dining, though Qatar certainly has its share of celebrity chef restaurants and luxury experiences. It's about discovering a food culture that spans from budget-friendly street food to culinary adventures that will completely reshape your understanding of Middle Eastern cuisine. Let's start with the absolute champion of budget eating, shawarma. But not just any shawarma. Qatar has elevated this humble street food to an art form. Al-Tazaj, Lebanese flour, and dozens of small shops scattered throughout Doha serve up massive portions that can easily feed you twice for around 15 to 25 rials, which translates to roughly 4 7s. The meat is carved fresh throughout the day, the bread is baked on site, and the combination of pickled vegetables, tahini, and hot sauce creates flavors that will have you coming back daily. I've watched budget travelers make shawarma their primary meal source for weeks, mixing between chicken, lamb, and mixed varieties to avoid getting bored. Karak tea deserves its own celebration. This spiced tea, influenced by Indian chai traditions but with a distinctly Qatari twist, costs less than 2 rials per cup and has become the unofficial social lubricant of Qatar. You'll find Karak stands on virtually every street corner, often surrounded by workers, office employees, and locals taking breaks from their day. The best Karak comes from small neighborhood shops where the owner has been perfecting his recipe for decades, creating a creamy, aromatic brew that's somehow both energizing and comforting. Some places add extra cardamom, others focus on the perfect balance of milk and tea, and a few innovative shops have started offering saffron or rose-flavored variations. For those willing to venture into more adventurous territory, camel burgers represent one of Qatar's most unique culinary experiences. Several restaurants, particularly in the Souk Waqif area, serve camel meat prepared in various styles. The taste is surprisingly mild, somewhat similar to lean beef, but with a unique flavor profile that's hard to describe until you try it. A camel burger typically costs around 35 to 50 rials, making it a reasonable splurge for curious travelers, and the experience alone is worth the price for the story you'll be telling for years. Rice and meat dishes form the backbone of traditional Qatari cuisine, with mechbouz being the undisputed national dish. This fragrant rice preparation, cooked with meat, fish, or chicken and seasoned with a complex blend of spices, represents comfort food at its finest. Local restaurants serve generous portions for 25 to 40 rials, and the leftovers can easily provide another meal. The rice absorbs all the flavors from the meat and spices, creating a dish that's simultaneously simple and sophisticated. The expat food scene adds incredible variety to Qatar's culinary landscape. Indian restaurants serve authentic regional cuisines at prices that make fine dining accessible. You can enjoy excellent biryanis, curries, and breads for 20-30 rials per person. Filipino restaurants offer unique fusion dishes that blend Asian flavors with Middle Eastern ingredients, creating combinations you won't find anywhere else in the world. Pakistani establishments specialize in grilled meats and fresh breads that provide filling, flavorful meals for budget-conscious diners. Coffee culture in Qatar extends far beyond the international chains, though you'll find plenty of Starbucks and Costa Coffee locations. Traditional Arabic coffee, served in small cups with dates, represents an important cultural ritual that visitors should experience. Many older Qataris still observe the traditional coffee service, where declining the offered coffee can be considered rude. The coffee itself is quite different from Western preparations. It's often flavored with cardamom and served unsweetened, creating a bitter, aromatic experience that's meant to be sipped slowly while engaging in conversation. Seafood offers another budget-friendly option, particularly hammer, a local fish that appears on most restaurant menus. Grilled or fried hammer, served with rice and salad, typically costs 30 to 45 rials and provides a taste of Qatar's maritime heritage. The fish is fresh, mild, and filling, making it an excellent choice for travelers who want to experience local flavors without breaking their budget. For those days when you want to cook for yourself, Qatar's grocery stores offer interesting opportunities. Indian and Pakistani grocery stores sell spices, lentils, and rice in bulk quantities at the prices that make home cooking extremely economical. Local markets, particularly the fish market and vegetable souk, provide fresh ingredients at reasonable prices, though bargaining is expected and shopping early in the morning ensures the best selection and freshest products. The food courts in major malls deserve special mention for budget travelers. Places like Hyatt Plaza and city center Doha have extensive food courts where you can sample cuisines from around the world, with most meals falling in the 15-30 rial range. These spaces also provide air-conditioned comfort and free Wi-Fi, making them ideal spots to spend hot afternoons while enjoying good food and planning your next adventures. Navigating relationships and social dynamics in Qatar requires understanding cultural nuances that can dramatically impact your experience as a visitor or resident. This is a conservative Islamic society where traditional values significantly influence daily interactions. Yet the large expat population and international business environment create fascinating layers of social complexity that outsiders often struggle to decode. For women traveling to or living in Qatar, the experience varies dramatically depending on your background, appearance, and social circles. Local Qatari women often dress conservatively, wearing abayas and hijabs, but this doesn't translate to restricted lives in the way many Western visitors expect. Many Qatari women are highly educated, work in professional fields, drive cars, and participate actively in business and cultural life. However, certain social customs remain firmly in place. Mixed gender socializing outside of work or family contexts requires careful navigation, and public displays of affection between unmarried couples are strongly discouraged. Western expat women generally find Qatar surprisingly comfortable and safe. The crime rate is extremely low, harassment is rare, and most social and professional environments are welcoming. However, dressing modestly, especially in traditional areas like Souk Waqif or when visiting mosques, shows respect for local customs and helps avoid unwanted attention. Many long-term female expat residents describe feeling safer walking alone at night in Doha than they would in most major cities back home. Dating in Qatar exists in a complicated gray area that depends heavily on discretion and cultural sensitivity. Officially, unmarried couples living together is prohibited, and public displays of romantic affection can result in legal consequences. In practice, the large expat community has developed subtle social networks where people meet and form relationships, but these connections typically develop through workplace interactions, expat community events, and private social gatherings rather than through traditional dating apps or public courtship. The expat social scene operates through informal networks that can be challenging for newcomers to penetrate but incredibly rewarding once you find your community. Many expats connect through workplace social events, sports clubs, cultural organizations, and volunteer opportunities. The American Women's Association, British Club, and similar nationality-based organizations provide structured social opportunities for those seeking familiar cultural contexts, while more adventurous individuals often find richer experiences by connecting with the broader international community. Meeting people as a short-term visitor requires different strategies. Staying in expat-friendly areas like the Pearl or West Bay increases your chances of encountering other international residents who are often eager to share recommendations and social opportunities. Coffee shops, particularly those in business districts, serve as informal networking hubs where friendly conversations can develop naturally. The gym and fitness scene is particularly social, with many facilities serving as de facto community centers where expatriate professionals gather. Cultural sensitivity becomes particularly important when interacting with local Qataris. Traditional hospitality customs include offering tea or coffee to guests, and refusing such offers can be interpreted as rude. Business relationships often develop slowly, with personal trust serving as the foundation for professional dealings. Many successful long-term expats emphasize the importance of showing genuine interest in Qatari culture and history, learning basic Arabic greetings, and demonstrating respect for Islamic customs and holidays. The workplace dynamics reflect Qatar's multicultural reality while respecting local customs. Mixed-gender professional environments are common, particularly in international companies and organizations. But office social events and after-work gatherings often accommodate cultural preferences that separate social interactions along gender lines. Understanding these nuances helps newcomers navigate professional relationships more effectively. Family life for expats with children adds another layer of complexity to social dynamics. International schools serve as major community hubs where expat families connect, share resources, and build support networks. Many family-oriented social activities revolve around these educational institutions, creating tight-knit communities that can provide essential support for families living far from extended family networks. The religious calendar significantly influences social life throughout the year. During Ramadan, daytime eating, drinking, and smoking in public are prohibited, and social gatherings shift to evening hours after the daily fast is broken. These cultural adjustments affect everyone living in Qatar, regardless of their personal religious beliefs, but they also provide opportunities to experience authentic cultural traditions and join in community celebrations that can deepen your understanding of local customs. Understanding gender dynamics also means recognizing that Qatar is undergoing gradual social changes. Recent years have seen increased opportunities for women in business and government, more mixed-gender social events, and evolving attitudes toward work-life balance that reflect the country's young, internationally educated population. These changes happen gradually and within culturally appropriate frameworks, but they represent real shifts that impact daily life for both locals and expatriates. The rhythm of cultural and religious life in Qatar provides a fascinating glimpse into how ancient traditions adapt to modern realities while maintaining their essential spiritual and social significance. Islamic customs don't just influence personal worship here, they shape the entire social calendar, business schedules, and community interactions in ways that visitors need to understand to fully appreciate their Qatar experience. Ramadan transforms the entire country into something almost magical. For 30 days, the rhythm of daily life shifts completely as Muslims observe daylight hours of fasting, reflection, and spiritual focus. The streets become quieter during the day, but as sunset approaches, the anticipation becomes almost palpable. The call to prayer signaling iftar, the breaking of the fast, marks the beginning of evening celebrations that can last well into the night. Restaurants prepare special iftar buffets, families gather for elaborate meals, and the normally bustling business districts take on a peaceful, contemplative atmosphere during daylight hours. For budget travelers, Ramadan presents unique opportunities. Many restaurants offer generous iftar buffets at reasonable prices, providing chances to experience authentic Middle Eastern cuisine in celebratory settings. However, visitors need to respect the fasting period by avoiding eating, drinking, or smoking in public during daylight hours. Most hotels and private spaces accommodate non-Muslim guests, but showing cultural sensitivity during this holy month demonstrates respect that locals genuinely appreciate. Eid celebrations mark the end of Ramadan with festivals that showcase Qatari hospitality at its finest. Families open their homes to friends and neighbors, traditional sweets appear in every shop and office, and the entire country takes on a festive atmosphere that rivals Christmas celebrations in Western countries. The generosity displayed during Eid is remarkable. Strangers exchange greetings and gifts, employers provide bonuses and special meals for their workers, and community organizations host public celebrations that welcome everyone regardless of their cultural background. National Day celebrations on December 18th reveal Qatar's patriotic spirit through parades, cultural performances, and public festivities that blend traditional Bedouin customs with modern national pride. The streets fill with families wearing traditional dress. Classic cars cruise through the city alongside modern vehicles decorated with Qatari flags, and falconry demonstrations showcase skills that connect contemporary Qatar to its desert heritage. These celebrations provide wonderful opportunities for visitors to witness authentic cultural expressions while participating in genuinely welcoming community events. Camel racing represents one of Qatar's most distinctive cultural traditions, combining ancient Bedouin customs with modern technology and significant financial investment. The races typically occur during cooler months, with events held at specialized tracks where the atmosphere buzzes with excitement as owners, trainers, and spectators gather to watch these magnificent animals compete. The sport involves substantial prize money and serious breeding programs, but the cultural significance extends far beyond financial considerations. Camel racing connects modern Qataris to their nomadic ancestors who depended on these animals for survival in the desert. Dhow boat traditions continue to play important roles in Qatar's cultural identity, even as the country has transformed from a maritime economy to a global financial hub. Traditional wooden dhows still fish in the Persian Gulf, though they're now joined by modern vessels and recreational boats. Sunset dhow cruises have become popular tourist activities, but authentic dhow experiences can be found at the harbor areas, where working boats still operate according to centuries-old practices that connect Qatar to its pearl diving and trading heritage. The art scene in Qatar reflects the country's ambitious cultural development goals while honoring traditional crafts and aesthetics. The Museum of Islamic Art houses one of the world's most impressive collections of Islamic artifacts, providing context for understanding the cultural and religious influences that have shaped the region. Contemporary art galleries showcase works by both local and international artists, often exploring themes that bridge traditional Islamic art forms with modern global influences. Traditional crafts continue to find expression in modern Qatar through workshops and cultural programs that teach younger generations skills like calligraphy, metalwork, and textile production. The Souk Waqif area includes craftsmen who demonstrate traditional techniques while creating items for both local use and tourist purchases. These artisans represent living links to cultural practices that might otherwise disappear in Qatar's rapidly modernizing society. Music and poetry traditions blend classical Arabic forms with contemporary influences, creating cultural expressions that reflect Qatar's position between traditional Arab culture and global modernity. Traditional oud music can be heard in cultural venues and private gatherings, while contemporary Qatari musicians incorporate international influences while maintaining connections to their cultural roots. Religious architecture throughout Qatar demonstrates how Islamic design principles adapt to modern construction techniques while maintaining spiritual and aesthetic integrity. The impressive mosques that dot the landscape aren't just places of worship. They're architectural statements that reflect community values and cultural priorities. Many mosques welcome non-Muslim visitors during designated hours, providing opportunities to appreciate the mathematical precision and spiritual symbolism that characterize Islamic architectural traditions. Now let's tackle the central question that brought you here. Can you actually survive in one of the world's most expensive countries on just $600 per month? The short answer is yes, but it requires strategic planning, cultural adaptation, and willingness to embrace a lifestyle that might challenge some of your assumptions about what comfortable living looks like. Housing represents the biggest challenge and the most important factor in making this budget work. Forget about having your own apartment in prime locations like the Pearl or West Bay. Those areas command rents that would consume your entire budget in just a few days. Instead, successful budget living in Qatar revolves around shared accommodation, particularly bed spaces or shared rooms in older residential areas like Al Saad, Najma, or Al Mansoura. A bed space in a shared room typically costs 400 to 600 riyals per month, which translates to roughly 165 arsan, leaving you with 1,600 to 1,800 riyals for all other expenses. These shared accommodations might sound grim, but the reality is often more comfortable than you'd expect. Many are occupied by working professionals from South Asia, Africa, and other regions who maintain clean, organized living spaces with basic amenities like air conditioning, Wi-Fi, and shared kitchen facilities. The key is finding accommodations through word-of-mouth recommendations or established networks rather than random online listings, as this helps ensure you're joining a compatible living situation with reliable roommates. Food expenses can be managed remarkably well if you understand where to shop and what to buy. Budget 500 to 700 riyals per month for food, which breaks down to roughly 17 to 23 riyals per day. This requires a combination of home cooking and strategic restaurant choices. Bulk shopping at Indian and Pakistani grocery stores provides rice, lentils, vegetables, and spices at prices that make home cooking extremely economical. A large bag of basmati rice costs about 25 riyals and can last several weeks, while lentils, onions, and basic vegetables provide the foundation for nutritious, filling meals that cost just a few riyals per serving. When eating out, which you'll want to do regularly to maintain your sanity and social connections, focus on the shawarma shops, small Indian restaurants, and food courts that cater to the working-class expat community. A filling shawarma costs 5 to 8 riyals, a substantial Indian meal ranges from 12 to 20 riyals, and even mall food courts offer options in the 15-25 riyal range. Budget travelers often adopt eating patterns that combine one home-cooked meal per day with one restaurant meal, keeping food costs manageable while still experiencing Qatar's diverse culinary scene. Transportation costs can be minimized through strategic use of Qatar's public transportation system. The Doha Metro, modern and efficient, provides excellent coverage of major areas for just 2 riyals per trip. Monthly passes reduce per-trip costs even further. For areas not covered by metro, public buses cost 2 to 5 riyals per trip, though they require more time and planning. Many budget residents choose accommodation based on proximity to metro stations or major bus routes, reducing transportation expenses while maintaining access to employment and social opportunities. Walking becomes an important part of budget living, particularly during cooler months. Many errands and social activities can be accomplished on foot if you choose your residential area strategically. Areas like Souk Waqif offer walking access to traditional markets, cultural sites, and inexpensive restaurants, while neighborhoods near major metro stations provide connections to the broader city without requiring expensive taxi rides. Entertainment and social expenses require creativity but don't have to be eliminated entirely. Budget 200 to 300 riyals monthly for entertainment, which covers occasional meals at better restaurants, cinema tickets, museum visits, and social activities. Many of Qatar's best experiences are free or very affordable. Walking along the Corniche costs nothing but provides stunning views and exercise. The Museum of Islamic Art has free admission, and beach access at various public locations offers recreation without expense. Personal expenses like phone service, basic health care, and household items typically run 150–250 riyals monthly. Local SIM cards with data packages cost around 50–70 riyals monthly. Basic health care through public clinics is affordable, and household necessities can be purchased at reasonable prices if you shop at local markets rather than high-end grocery stores. The key to making this budget work long-term is understanding that you're not just cutting expenses. You're adapting to a different lifestyle that emphasizes community over privacy, home cooking over restaurant dining, and public transportation over private vehicles. Many people who successfully live on tight budgets in Qatar report that this lifestyle actually provides richer cultural experiences and stronger social connections than the more isolated existence of higher-budget expat living. Seasonal variations significantly impact budget living feasibility. Summer months bring extreme heat that increases electricity costs and makes walking less practical, potentially requiring higher transportation expenses and greater reliance on air-conditioned spaces. Winter months offer more comfortable conditions for walking and outdoor activities, reducing entertainment costs while providing better quality of life. The social aspects of budget living shouldn't be underestimated. Shared accommodation naturally leads to cultural exchanges and friendships that can enrich your Qatar experience in ways that expensive private housing might not. Many budget residents form strong social networks within their residential communities, sharing meals, transportation costs, and social activities in ways that reduce individual expenses while building meaningful relationships. Getting around Qatar efficiently and affordably requires understanding a transportation system that spans from ultra-modern metro lines to traditional taxis, with options that can fit virtually any budget or travel style. The country's small size works in your favor. Nothing is impossibly far away, but the extreme summer heat and spread-out urban development make transportation choices particularly important for both comfort and budget management. The Doha Metro represents Qatar's most impressive transportation achievement and your best tool for budget travel. This gleaming system, completed just in time for the 2022 World Cup, covers major residential, business, and tourist areas with trains that arrive every few minutes during peak hours. The stations themselves are architectural marvels, featuring air conditioning that provides blessed relief during summer months and artistic designs that make waiting for trains genuinely pleasant. At just 2 riyals per trip, the metro offers the most cost-effective way to cover long distances while avoiding the heat and traffic that make surface travel challenging. The metro's 3 lines connect most areas that budget travelers care about. The Red Line runs from the airport through the city center to major residential areas. The Green Line serves educational and residential districts, and the Gold Line connects to important commercial and tourist areas. Understanding the metro map becomes essential for budget living, as proximity to metro stations can dramatically reduce your daily transportation costs and expand your access to employment and social opportunities throughout the city. Public buses fill the gaps where the metro doesn't reach, though they require more patience and planning. The bus system serves a primarily working-class ridership, with routes that connect residential areas to industrial zones, shopping districts, and business centers. Fares range from 2 to 5 riyals depending on distance, and buses are air-conditioned, though they can become crowded during peak hours. The bus system operates on a schedule that accommodates the work patterns of Qatar's large expat workforce, with increased frequency during traditional rush hours and reduced service during the midday heat. Taxis in Qatar span from budget-friendly options to luxury experiences that can quickly drain your wallet. Standard Karwa taxis, the government-regulated fleet, charge metered rates that start around 4 riyals with additional charges based on distance and time. These taxis are reliable, air-conditioned, and driven by licensed professionals, making them good options for occasional use when public transportation isn't practical. However, relying heavily on taxis can quickly consume a budget traveler's transportation allowance. Ride-sharing services like Uber and Careem operate throughout Qatar, often providing better service and more transparent pricing than traditional taxis. These services are particularly useful for late-night transportation when public transit options are limited, though surge pricing during peak demand periods can make them expensive. Many budget-conscious residents use ride-sharing strategically, splitting costs with friends or using these services only when public transportation isn't available. Walking in Qatar requires strategic timing and route planning due to the climate and urban design. During winter months, walking becomes not just feasible, but enjoyable, with pleasant temperatures and clear skies that make exploring neighborhoods on foot a genuine pleasure. The Corniche provides several kilometers of waterfront walking paths with stunning views, while areas like Souk Waqif offer pedestrian-friendly environments where walking is both practical and culturally enriching. Summer walking requires different strategies entirely. Early morning hours before 8 a.m. and evening hours after sunset provide the only comfortable windows for extended walking. Many residents adapt their schedules to accommodate these limitations, running errands and conducting business during cooler hours while spending the middle of the day in air-conditioned environments. Understanding this rhythm helps budget travelers plan activities and transportation needs more effectively. Bicycle transportation exists, but remains limited due to climate and infrastructure challenges. Some residential compounds and recreational areas provide bike-friendly environments, and cycling can be practical during winter months for short trips. However, the extreme summer heat and limited bike infrastructure make cycling impractical for most transportation needs throughout much of the year. For longer trips within Qatar, or explorations of areas outside Doha, rental cars provide flexibility but require careful budget consideration. Daily rental rates vary significantly based on season and demand, with economy cars available for 80 to 250 rials per day during off-peak periods. Fuel costs are relatively low due to government subsidies, making car rental economical for group trips or extended explorations, particularly if costs can be shared among several travelers. Understanding Qatar's traffic patterns helps optimize transportation timing regardless of your chosen method. Rush hours typically occur from 7 to 9 a.m. and 5 to 7 p.m., when the combination of school, office, and construction schedules creates significant congestion. Planning travel outside these windows can reduce both travel time and costs, particularly for taxi or ride-sharing services that charge based on time as well as distance. The transportation network connects to Qatar's broader regional identity, with the airport serving as a major international hub and land borders providing access to Saudi Arabia and other Gulf countries. For budget travelers interested in regional exploration, understanding these connections can open up possibilities for extending Qatar visits into broader Middle Eastern adventures while maintaining reasonable transportation costs. Qatar's tourist attractions blend ancient heritage with futuristic ambitions, creating experiences that range from free cultural immersion to luxury adventures that can accommodate virtually any budget level. Understanding which attractions provide the best value and cultural insight helps maximize your Qatar experience while keeping expenses manageable. The Museum of Islamic Art stands as Qatar's crown jewel of cultural attractions, housing one of the world's most comprehensive collections of Islamic artifacts spanning 1,400 years of history. The building itself, designed by I.M. Pei, represents architectural brilliance that commands respect before you even enter the galleries. Admission is free, making this an essential stop for budget travelers, but the real value lies in understanding how the exhibits connect Qatar to the broader Islamic world and provide context for the cultural influences that continue to shape daily life here. The museum's collection includes everything from intricate metalwork and ceramics to rare manuscripts and textiles that demonstrate the sophisticated artistic traditions of Islamic civilization. Spending several hours here provides cultural education that enriches your understanding of everything else you'll encounter in Qatar, from architectural details to social customs. The museum also hosts temporary exhibitions and cultural events that provide deeper dives into specific aspects of Islamic art and culture. Souk Waqif represents authentic Qatari marketplace culture, where traditional architecture houses vendors selling everything from spices and textiles to falcons and traditional handicrafts. The souk has been carefully restored to maintain historical authenticity while accommodating modern visitors with restaurants, coffee shops, and cultural venues. Walking through the narrow alleyways costs nothing, but the sensory experience. The aroma of frankincense and cardamom, the sound of merchants calling their wares, the sight of traditional crafts being demonstrated provides cultural immersion that expensive tours can't replicate. The evening hours transform Souk Waqif into a social hub where families gather, traditional musicians perform, and the outdoor restaurants buzz with conversation in dozens of languages. Budget travelers can easily spend entire evenings here, sampling affordable street food, people watching, and absorbing the cultural atmosphere that makes Qatar unique. The souk also hosts cultural events, art exhibitions, and festivals throughout the year, providing free entertainment that showcases both traditional and contemporary Qatari culture. The Corniche offers Qatar's most accessible recreational experience, with several kilometers of waterfront walkways that provide stunning views of Doha's skyline and the Persian Gulf. This pedestrian-friendly area costs nothing to enjoy but provides exercise, photography opportunities, and cultural observations that reveal how Qataris and expatriates use public spaces. Early morning and evening hours bring joggers, families, and casual strollers who create a social atmosphere that welcomes visitors and provides natural opportunities for cultural interaction. Qatara Cultural Village combines architectural beauty with ongoing cultural programming that showcases both local and international artistic traditions. The village itself represents ambitious cultural development, with venues that host concerts, art exhibitions, theater performances, and festivals throughout the year. Many events are free or very affordable, while the restaurants and cafes within the cultural village provide dining options that range from budget-friendly to upscale, allowing visitors to choose experiences that match their financial comfort level. The Pearl Qatar represents Qatar's most ambitious artificial island development, designed to showcase luxury living and high-end retail. While the residential and shopping aspects cater to wealthy expatriates and tourists, the island provides free walking areas with Mediterranean-inspired architecture, marina views, and carefully designed public spaces. Budget travelers can explore the architectural achievement, enjoy the waterfront atmosphere, and window shop at luxury boutiques without spending money, while the numerous restaurants offer dining options at various price points. Desert experiences range from budget-friendly public beach access to expensive guided safari tours, but the most memorable desert encounters often fall somewhere in between these extremes. The Inland Sea, where Qatar's desert meets the waters of the Gulf, represents one of the country's most unique geographical features. While reaching this area typically requires either a tour or rental car, the experience of seeing sand dunes literally meeting the sea provides perspective on Qatar, its natural beauty that hotel rooms and city centers can't offer. Traditional dhow boat trips provide connections to Qatar's maritime heritage while offering recreational experiences at various price points. Simple sunset cruises cost 50 to 100 riyals per person and provide stunning views of Doha's skyline from the water, while more elaborate dinner cruises or fishing expeditions command higher prices but offer more comprehensive experiences. For budget travelers, the shorter sunset cruises provide excellent value while delivering photo opportunities and cultural insights that justify the expense. Beach access throughout Qatar ranges from free public areas to expensive resort facilities, but even budget travelers can enjoy Qatar's beautiful coastline without significant expense. Qatar Beach provides free access with basic facilities, while other public beaches offer swimming and relaxation opportunities without entrance fees. Understanding which beaches provide the best combination of accessibility, facilities, and natural beauty helps maximize recreational time while minimizing costs. Architecture enthusiasts will find Qatar's rapid urban development fascinating, with examples of both traditional and ultramodern design throughout Doha and surrounding areas. Many of the most impressive buildings can be appreciated from public spaces and streets, providing free entertainment for those interested in urban design and cultural expression through architecture. The contrast between traditional wind tower construction and contemporary glass skyscrapers tells the story of Qatar's transformation in ways that guided tours and museums can't fully capture. Qatar's reputation for safety, healthcare, and educational excellence makes it attractive for long-term residents. But understanding the realities behind these positive statistics helps determine whether extended stays align with your personal and professional goals. The country consistently ranks among the world's safest nations. But this safety comes within a social and legal framework that requires cultural adaptation and respect for local customs. Personal safety in Qatar reaches levels that can seem almost surreal to visitors from other regions. Violent crime is extremely rare, theft is uncommon, and women can walk alone at night in most areas without significant security concerns. This safety stems from several factors: strict law enforcement, cultural values that emphasize respect and hospitality, economic prosperity that reduces desperation-driven crime, and a social structure where reputation and family honor create strong incentives for lawful behavior. However, this safety operates within a legal system based on Islamic law and Qatari customs that can create serious consequences for behaviors that might be tolerated elsewhere. Public intoxication, unmarried cohabitation, public displays of affection, and disrespectful behavior toward Islamic customs can result in legal problems that range from fines to imprisonment and deportation. Understanding and respecting these boundaries isn't just culturally appropriate. It's essential for avoiding legal complications that can derail your Qatar experience. The healthcare system in Qatar combines public and private options that provide excellent medical care, though accessing these services requires understanding the system's structure and your eligibility based on residency status. Public healthcare provides comprehensive services for residents at heavily subsidized rates, while private healthcare offers faster access and more luxurious facilities at higher costs. For short-term visitors, travel insurance becomes essential, as medical costs for non-residents can be substantial. Qatar's private healthcare facilities rival those found anywhere in the world, with modern equipment, internationally trained physicians, and English-speaking staff that make medical care accessible for expatriate patients. Hamad Medical Corporation operates the public healthcare system with high standards and comprehensive services, though waiting times and bureaucratic procedures can be challenging for those accustomed to different healthcare models. Pharmacies throughout Qatar are well-stocked and staffed by trained pharmacists, many of whom speak English and can provide guidance on over-the-counter medications and basic health concerns. Prescription medications that are common in Western countries are generally available, though some medications may require local prescriptions or may be regulated differently due to Islamic laws regarding alcohol-based medicines or certain controlled substances. Emergency services in Qatar operate efficiently with ambulance, police, and fire services that respond quickly and professionally. The emergency number system follows international standards, and most emergency personnel speak English in addition to Arabic. However, understanding local emergency procedures and having appropriate identification and documentation readily available can expedite emergency responses and ensure proper care. Education in Qatar reflects the country's ambitious development goals, with both public and private options that serve the diverse expatriate population while maintaining Islamic values and Arabic language instruction for local students. International schools provide education that follows American, British, Indian, and other national curricula, allowing expatriate families to maintain educational continuity while living in Qatar. The cost of international education represents a significant expense for expatriate families, with tuition fees that can range from moderate to extremely high depending on the school's reputation and facilities. Many expatriate employment packages include educational allowances that help offset these costs. But families considering long-term residence in Qatar need to factor educational expenses into their overall financial planning. Qatar University and other higher education institutions provide degree programs that attract both local and international students, with instruction often conducted in English and facilities that meet international standards. The country's emphasis on education creates opportunities for both study and employment in educational fields, though understanding the cultural and religious context of education in Qatar is important for anyone considering academic pursuits here. Housing quality and availability for long-term residents varies dramatically based on budget and preferences, with options ranging from shared accommodations to luxury compounds that provide Western-style amenities and social environments. Many expatriate families choose compound living for the community atmosphere and familiar lifestyle elements, while single professionals often prefer apartment living in areas like the Pearl or West Bay that offer urban conveniences and social opportunities. Long-term visa requirements and sponsorship systems create legal frameworks that significantly impact residency planning. Most expatriate residents require employment sponsorship or family reunification visas that tie their legal status to specific relationships or job positions. Understanding these requirements and maintaining proper documentation becomes crucial for anyone considering extended stays in Qatar. Cultural adaptation for long-term residents involves ongoing learning and adjustment as you encounter different social situations and develop deeper relationships with both local Qataris and fellow expatriates. Many successful long-term residents emphasize the importance of learning basic Arabic, understanding Islamic customs, and developing genuine appreciation for Qatari culture while maintaining their own cultural identity. Understanding Qatar's visa policies, legal requirements, and expatriate realities provides essential foundation knowledge for anyone considering more than a tourist visit to this complex and rapidly evolving nation. The legal framework here operates quite differently from Western countries, with systems that reflect Islamic law, tribal traditions, and modern international business practices in combinations that can seem contradictory until you understand the underlying logic. Visa requirements for Qatar vary significantly based on your nationality, with citizens from many Western countries enjoying visa-on-arrival privileges that make short-term visits remarkably simple. Americans, Europeans, and citizens from many other developed nations can obtain 30-day tourist visas upon arrival at Hamad International Airport, with the option to extend for additional 30-day periods. This accessibility makes Qatar an excellent destination for budget travelers who want to explore the Gulf region without extensive advance planning or expensive visa application processes. However, longer-term residence requires either employment sponsorship or family reunification, both of which involve complex legal processes that significantly impact your daily life and legal status. The kafala sponsorship system means that your residence permit depends on maintaining good relationships with your sponsor, whether that's an employer or family member. This system provides stability and support for many expatriates, but it also creates dependencies that can complicate job changes, family situations, or other major life decisions. Employment opportunities in Qatar span from construction and hospitality work to high-level positions in finance, education, healthcare, and international business. The country's rapid development and international focus create demand for skilled professionals, while major infrastructure projects provide opportunities for technical and manual workers. However, Job seeking from outside Qatar can be challenging, and many positions are filled through networking and personal connections rather than traditional application processes. Digital nomad lifestyles face particular challenges in Qatar due to visa requirements that typically require employment sponsorship for extended stays. While the tourist visa system allows for short-term visits, working remotely for foreign companies while in Qatar can create legal gray areas that require careful navigation. Some digital nomads manage extended stays through visa runs to neighboring countries, but this approach requires careful planning and understanding of both Qatari and regional immigration policies. Legal considerations extend far beyond visa requirements to encompass behavioral expectations that can significantly impact your Qatar experience. The legal system incorporates both civil law and Islamic Sharia principles, creating frameworks that may criminalize behaviors that are legal in other countries. Public consumption of alcohol is restricted to licensed venues, primarily hotel bars and restaurants, while public intoxication can result in serious legal consequences including imprisonment and deportation. Dress codes, while not strictly enforced for tourists, become more important for residents who interact regularly with local communities and government offices. Conservative dress demonstrates respect for local customs and can positively impact your professional and social relationships. Understanding appropriate dress for different situations, from beach areas to government offices to religious sites, helps you avoid cultural misunderstandings and shows respect for your host country. Social media and online activities require careful consideration in Qatar, where posts that are critical of the government, disrespectful of Islamic customs, or inappropriate by local standards can result in legal problems. Many expatriates practice self-censorship regarding political topics and cultural criticism, focusing their online presence on positive aspects of their Qatar experience while avoiding potentially controversial subjects. Financial regulations in Qatar include banking requirements that can affect both short-term visitors and long-term residents. Opening local bank accounts typically requires employment documentation and residential proof, though some banks offer services for tourists and short-term visitors. Understanding local banking practices, currency exchange options, and financial transfer regulations helps manage money more effectively while avoiding potential legal complications. Property ownership restrictions limit most expatriates to rental arrangements, though certain areas allow foreign property ownership under specific circumstances. The rental market operates through systems that may require significant deposits, advance payments, and contractual arrangements that differ from Western practices. Understanding tenant rights and obligations helps avoid disputes and ensures comfortable living arrangements. Work permit regulations tie employment authorization to specific employers and job classifications, making job changes more complex than in many other countries. Changing employers typically requires your current sponsor is approval and can involve legal processes that take several weeks or months to complete. Understanding these requirements helps career planning and prevents legal complications that could affect your residency status. Legal assistance is readily available in Qatar through law firms that specialize in expatriate issues, immigration law, and commercial legal services. Many firms employ English-speaking attorneys who understand both international and Qatari legal systems, providing guidance that can help expatriates navigate complex legal requirements while avoiding costly mistakes. Cultural laws extend beyond written regulations to encompass social expectations that influence daily interactions and long-term success in Qatar. Understanding concepts like wasta, influence through personal connections, the importance of family honor, and appropriate ways to show respect in business and social situations can significantly impact your ability to build relationships and achieve your goals while living in Qatar. As our journey through Qatar comes to an end, I find myself reflecting on a country that consistently defies expectations and challenges assumptions about what life in the Gulf region actually looks like. This tiny nation, smaller than most U.S. states yet wielding influence that spans continents, represents something unique in our modern world. A place where ancient traditions and futuristic ambitions not only coexist, but actually strengthen each other in ways that create opportunities for experiences you simply cannot find anywhere else. The question of whether you can survive on $600 in Qatar has a definitive answer: absolutely. But it requires embracing a lifestyle that prioritizes cultural immersion over material comfort, community connections over privacy, and adaptability over rigid expectations. The budget travelers and expatriate workers who successfully navigate Qatar on tight finances often discover that their constraints lead to richer, more authentic experiences than those enjoyed by higher-budget visitors who remain insulated within expensive expatriate bubbles. Living on a budget in Qatar means sharing accommodations with people from dozens of different countries, shopping in markets where Arabic mingles with Hindi, Tagalog, and Swahili, and eating meals that represent culinary traditions from across the developing world. These experiences provide cultural education that no guidebook or luxury tour can replicate, while building international relationships that often last long after your Qatar adventure ends. But Qatar offers value propositions that extend far beyond budget considerations. This is one of the safest countries in the world, where women can walk alone at night, where violent crime is virtually non-existent, and where the biggest security concern is typically avoiding overspending at the gold souk. The healthcare system provides world-class medical care, the infrastructure rivals anything found in developed nations, and the cultural opportunities range from world-renowned museums to traditional festivals that welcome visitors with genuine warmth and hospitality. The cultural contradictions that initially seem confusing eventually reveal themselves as Qatar's greatest strength. A country where traditional Bedouin values emphasize hospitality and respect while embracing technological innovation and international diversity creates social environments that feel both exotic and welcoming. The conservative Islamic framework provides social stability and cultural authenticity while accommodating expatriate communities that bring their own traditions and perspectives to daily life. For those considering Qatar as a long-term destination, the opportunities and challenges require honest evaluation. Career prospects exist across numerous industries, particularly for those with skills in education, healthcare, engineering, finance, and international business. The tax-free income, excellent healthcare, and high-quality infrastructure provide lifestyle advantages that can significantly improve your financial situation and quality of life. However, the cultural adaptation requirements, climate challenges, and social restrictions require genuine commitment to learning and respecting local customs. The expat communities throughout Qatar provide support networks that ease the transition for newcomers while offering social opportunities that can enrich your personal and professional life. These communities represent one of Qatar's most valuable but often overlooked resources, providing everything from practical advice about navigating bureaucracy to social connections that can lead to lasting friendships and business relationships. Qatar, its position as a transportation hub, creates opportunities for broader Middle Eastern and international travel that can extend your horizons far beyond the peninsula itself. Weekend trips to Dubai, Oman, or other regional destinations become feasible, while Hamad International Airport provides connections to destinations worldwide, often at competitive prices that make international travel more accessible than it might be from other locations. The environmental challenges, particularly the extreme summer heat, require lifestyle adjustments that some people embrace while others find prohibitive. Understanding your own tolerance for climate extremes and indoor living during summer months becomes crucial for long-term happiness in Qatar. However, the winter months offer nearly perfect weather conditions that make outdoor activities and exploration genuinely enjoyable. Ultimately, Qatar succeeds or fails as a destination based on your willingness to engage with cultural differences while maintaining respect for local customs and traditions. Those who approach Qatar with curiosity, flexibility, and genuine interest in learning about Gulf Arab culture often find experiences that exceed their expectations and provide perspectives that influence their worldview long after leaving. Those who resist cultural adaptation or expect Qatar to conform to their existing lifestyle preferences often struggle with frustration and disappointment. The $600 monthly budget that sparked this exploration represents more than just financial planning. It symbolizes an approach to travel and living that prioritizes experience over comfort, cultural engagement over familiar conveniences, and personal growth over material accumulation. Whether you ultimately visit Qatar for a week, stay for a year, or decide it's not the right destination for your circumstances, understanding what life here actually entails provides insights into alternative ways of living that challenge assumptions about what constitutes a good life in our increasingly connected global community. So, would I recommend Qatar? The answer depends entirely on what you're seeking. If you want cultural authenticity combined with modern safety and convenience, if you're curious about Islamic culture and Gulf Arab traditions, if you enjoy international communities and diverse perspectives, and if you're willing to adapt your lifestyle to respect local customs, then Qatar offers experiences that few other destinations can match. The fact that you can do it all on a budget, that many people spend on monthly car payments makes it even more remarkable. Whether you come for the cultural immersion, the career opportunities, the tax-free income, or simply the adventure of experiencing life in one of the world's most unique countries, Qatar will challenge your preconceptions while providing memories and insights that last far beyond your time here. In a world where authentic cultural experiences become increasingly rare, Qatar remains a place where ancient traditions continue to influence daily life while embracing a future that promises to be equally fascinating.